Thanks very much. Item 1.0 on the agenda is additions. Seeing none. Item 2.0, take a motion to adopt the agenda as recently circulated. Councillor Schuler, all in favor? That is carried. Item 3.0, corrections or amendments to the June 1st, 2016 regular meeting of council minutes. Any corrections or amendments? No. Take a motion to adopt the June 1st, 2016 regular meeting council minutes. Councillor Bossert, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And item 5.0, delegations. We have Staff Sergeant Callahoo with the May RCMP statistics, as well as an introduction of the Community School Resource Officer, I believe. I'm intuitive that way.
Bated breath. I want to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
So before I begin here, I'll just introduce Constable Peter Ulanowski. He's been with our detachment for what, almost 4 years now, and so I'll just let him do the talking before I begin.
Great, thank you.
Put me on the spot. Good morning, everybody. My name is Peter Ulanowski, 4-year member here at Drayton Valley. My first post, and just recently appointed to the Community School Resource Officer position. So a little bit about myself. Got a degree in psychology, 2 kids, boy, girl, and still happily married, so that's a good thing. And so far my position has been going very good, and I've been receiving very positive feedback, so it's a pleasure to meet everybody.
Thank you very much, Constable? I was going to promote you. I was going to call you Corporal. Sorry.
Not in a rush yet.
How does that fit with the detachment?
Has there been any feedback to the town about how he's doing so far?
I don't, yeah. Yeah, I would say no news is good news. In the summer, I do have a question for you. Over the summer months when school's out, obviously, do you have a sort of a plan of action in terms of reach out in the community?
So after discussing it with Staff Sergeant Callahoo, there's going to be a couple different things. Basically going where the kids are is the one thing. Any community events, anything related in the community that I can participate in. And then the other thing, because still maybe doing some traffic enforcement, and part of the other thing that we're going to be concentrating on is bike helmet safety in regards to the kids, so like skate park, stuff like that, right? And any bike rodeos anybody's putting on, or just in general talking to the kids.
There's also some of the town camps that we're looking at as well that Annette's forwarded to us, so we'll be looking at getting involved with that as well.
Very good. Possibly some connection with community based agencies and that sort of stuff
Peter
who deal with the same population.
Coalition.
Oh, very good. Yeah,
So
good stuff.
he's liaising with those different agencies that are a part of that as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, welcome aboard.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So without
Oh, sorry, I didn't notice we had a question from Councillor Nadeau.
Hi. I just had a couple of questions from some community we've been talking about, and everybody is very excited coming on, especially bringing back the DARE program.
Sure.
And just wondering how you're going to share your time between schools, and what really is the plan moving forward for September.
So basically there's 6 schools, and so coming September is going to be a little bit more structured because I walked in here in May when the schools are kind of winding down. So right now basically I visit the schools not on a regular schedule. I do have an office in Frank-Matic, so if I do spend majority of my time somewhere, it's there just because my office is there. That's where I check the school emails, etc. So right now it's kind of just, I don't want to say all over the place, but it's not structured. Once that DARE stuff kicks in, once there's more requests for me to do more specific things, then part of it's going to be on a kind of a need basis, but the other part is not to have a structured schedule, so that way, if we're doing something, or I'm just there whenever I can type of thing, right? At this point I still have some crossover work, so that's taking part of my time. But come September, it's going to be a little more structured. So depending how they want to structure DARE as well, because there's going to be a total of 6 DARE classes, which equals to about 180 students. So if you think about it, each DARE class will take me from the time set up to get there about hour and a half to 2 hours. And if I'm doing all 6 of them in the semester, that's going to be taken up by that. If it's only 3, which I'm hoping, which we're still working on, then some portion of the time is going to be dedicated to that, right? But no schedule. Like I'm not set on a schedule anywhere particular. It's really just show up, hang out, and
I think we should probably add here as well that there's also some other stuff that he's been involved with the schools. Things like risk assessments of students, high-risk students, those types of things. He's also been involved, doing some of the sporting events at the schools, really getting involved with the kids, really making some good connections with with the teachers as well, so they all know him. So he's got a phone that practically rings off the hook most of the time. So he's really getting out there and really becoming a force in the schools. And everything that I've heard has been extremely positive. And I've been with the steering committee itself. I've been forwarding weekly logs. They've been detailing what he's been doing from time to time. So, basically every day what he's been doing, but it shows them where he's been at. And so the steering committee themselves have been very pleased, I think, so far with how things have been going.
Very good.
the indirect feedback you received has been positive. So the other day it was the Drayton Valley Daycare had their, the El Dorado Foundations had their picnic at the Rotary Parks. I went there for that, and based after talking to teachers, some parents, there's been a lot of good feedback on Facebook just for me being present there. And then the high school was extremely apprehensive about having a police officer in the school, but recently spent time with some teachers, and that apprehension's already gone down, and everybody's been very welcoming there. So they feed me a lot there too.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to our crime statistics for the month of May. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights that I've seen on our list here. So page 1, the first one there with our statistical comparison of stats from January to May 2012 to 2016. I point out the assault one because traditionally it's been quite a high one. 2012 and 2013 we had 74 incidents, 2014 64, 2015 50, and 2016 we have 37. So a good downward trend in that area, which is nice to see. Unfortunately, on the other side, we have an upward trend on our break-and-enters, theft of motor vehicles, and theft under 5,000. All of these are up significantly. Break-and-enters of last year, 27 now to 50. Theft of motor vehicles from 22 up to 31, and our theft unders from 87 to 112 year to date. I'll address those in more specifically with the monthly stuff that we have as well. Moving on to page 2, the biggest thing that I was looking for here on that came down to our false alarms for the year are unfortunately up, but I think that also has to do with where we're at economy-wise, and also with the break-ins that we're seeing as well, that we're seeing a lot more activity on the property side, and I'll address that a little bit more in detail here shortly. So with the I'm going to move on to more specific for the month, which is the statistical comparison May 2012 to 2016. So on our assault side, we had 2 incidents of assault. Both of those were family violence related, and both of those led to charges against the offender. So that's good to see on that side. With our break-and-enters, there was 14 this past month in May. Of those, 4 were unfounded calls, which means they actually weren't break-and-enters, they were just reported as break-and-enters. 4 of those were, actually, let me just back up here for a minute. 6 of those were business related, and 2 of those were residence related. There was 1 where we were able to apprehend a subject who had broken into the shooter's liquor store. He'd rammed the vehicle through the door, and there was a pursuit and so on. That subject originating out of the Rocky Mountain House area, so he's been charged for that crime accordingly. There was 1 business where there was some wire theft that took place, and another one business where an ATV was stolen, and there was 1 ATM break-in attempt this past month in May. So that's the break and enter stuff. But moving on to the theft of motor vehicle, when I looked at the stats, because it says there was 11 incidents, when I looked at the stats, 4 of those were actually theft from a motor vehicle. So that means that the doors were opened up, things were taken from the vehicles, and they were just small sundry items, change. There's a couple that had their GPSs taken, that type of thing. When I broke it down into our vehicle thefts, and I looked at what exactly there was, so that leaves 6 of those, or 7 actually. When I looked through, of those, 3 of them were, and again moving on to our crime suppression stuff that I've been trying to put out to the public, 3 of those, unfortunately, the doors were open and the keys were inside of the vehicle. I'm not saying that had anything to do with anything on the owner's fault, of course, because no one wants to get their stuff stolen. I guess the point is it makes it really easy to steal a vehicle when that stuff is there. The other one was, there's one that was actually locked, but is a vehicle that's known to be stolen on a fairly regular basis. Attempted theft of a tractor. There was a theft of a quad and a theft of an old motorbike. So, looking at the theft under, where we had 24 incidents, of those, 8 were shoplifting offenses, 4 were grocery store related, basically where people are stealing food from grocery stores. 4 of them gas station related, so they're just stealing items from within the convenience store. And the other 16 of the theft under, 4 were gas and dashes. And then there was 5 that were unfounded, which means that they weren't actually thefts at all. And 7 was more of the small items for different things that were taken from various businesses. For our patrol logs, as a result of that, as our patrol logs in the town of Drayton Valley, during the weekend we did 52 specific patrols within the town in order to suppress crime during the daytime. At night, that was up to 76 within the town for that month. So just specifically driving around, looking at businesses, that type of thing, and get that visibility side to make sure they're out and about and that they know we're looking at stuff and dealing with things. I guess I can report too that on the industrial side, I've been approached by a security company just to ask how they can partner with us, because due to the theft that's happening in the industrial area, there's been a number of places that have hired security people. So I've given them some outline on what I'd like to see for security type things, with obviously not putting themselves at risk because they're not police, but at the same point observing and reporting to us what they do see that's a suspicious behavior. So again, we want to hear from people that see it, but again, if there's companies that are out there, the security companies, and they see it, we want to know as well, because again, we can't be everywhere, but if we hear about it, we'll come out and take a look. Yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to address and touch on real quick was the last page, which is the one that's kind of on the landscape side. There's 3 areas that are hit as issues. Part of those being, again, the break-in enters into the businesses and residences, which I think I've touched on, that we're working on that, as well as hopefully with the education to help with people with that. The last one being spousal abuse. It says here we have 76 incidents. I called up our statistics guy just to say, look, our numbers aren't jiving here, because we have 30 odd for the year, yet we have 76 on this side. So I said, you kind of need to explain to me what's going on here. He said it's not just assaults like spousal. Spousal abuse could also be things like uttering threats. It could be things like Family Relations Act stuff, where we're looking at issues where we have one partner who's holding all of the finances, or not allowing them to see friends, or things of that nature. So I guess the thing of it is there's more reflected on here than what was first. I thought it was just the assaults themselves, but then afterwards, and I see now it's expanded to more different crimes.
So I have a question related
Sure.
to that. I'm surprised if the RCMP tracks those, I'll say, murkier or less identifiable circumstances such as those under, issues arising under the Family Relations Act. Because what I understand from your statistics and from what you're saying is that you don't, and I don't blame you, because it's not a charge, it's a set of circumstances. How then does the statistics guy generate a number based on this sort of anecdotal information?
And again, you hit the nail on the head. What happens is that these stats are generated by our membership, adding them to the scoring. If they feel that it's a domestic-related issue, they add that type of scoring to the file, and so that's what reflects as a stat. So, and it's a stat in that category of spousal abuse. So again, it's while certainly where we have cases of family violence, that is certainly put into there, but it is a call made by the membership as to whether or not it goes on the file. We try to keep some uniformity on that, but again, we look at, we have 19 people in our office that are submitting these stats, and sometimes it's difficult to track where they're all going sometimes, but for the most part it is pretty uniform. So I guess now that I understand a little bit more about where they're going to, we'll have to pay a bit more attention as to what's being put onto that and how that's being reflected.
So is it a matter of, in the reporting that happens on an incident, whether a charge is laid or not, in the reporting there's some kind of indication from the reporting officer that these items are of concern, and from there the statistical people extract that? And
our system that we have is called PROS. It's Police Reporting Occurrence System.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that there's what's called UCR. It is a scoring thing that we have to do in each file. So as an example, say you have an assault, it's going to be scored as an assault, but there's also going to be the secondary scoring, which would be things like spousal abuse, charges laid, victim services referred and accepted,
okay.
Things of that nature. So there is a bunch of secondary scoring that's put on as well. And so it helps us define a little bit more where the things are happening.
Okay. So the 76, for example, that's indicated here,
Correct.
That's not meant to indicate caseload.
This is not meant to indicate caseload. This is the scoring specifically for that type of incident. The caseload itself is on page 1, which shows that as for, again, say as an example, for the assault, there's 37 assaults incidents for this year. But there is also, if you look, there's 18 incidents of uttering threats. There's 10 for criminal harassment.
Gotcha.
Whether or not those are reflected as spousal abuse or not, I wasn't able to break that down for you today, but I could if you'd like. Yeah. But I think the thing is that it really depends upon what the situation is. Could be a kidnapping, could be all sorts of different things.
Okay. No, that's very helpful. Thank you. Any questions of Staff Sergeant? Councillor Frederickson, then Councillor Wheeler.
Malcolm, can you just speak to, on page 2 there, persons reported missing? It seems to be a huge spike.
You know what? That's true. We have been getting, let's see here, I'm just looking for that in particular right there, 19. We have been getting a lot of runaway calls recently, and there's been probably about 2 or 3 people in particular who are multiple cases on a regular basis, which is why that is up to that point. We have normal protocols that we deal with that type of thing, and they very well could be coming back the very same day. It's when we start to look at things where people are missing for a long period of time that obviously we ramp up our efforts accordingly, and actually very quickly. But when it comes to that, usually we look for, there's been a number of youths that we've had to take in, some for PCHAD warrant type situations where they've had addictions and they've had to go and be apprehended, different things like that. But yeah, that's why the number's up.
Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. Mine's not specific to a number. I'm just wondering in general how the impaired driving is going. I know that was part of your focus this year.
And that one there, I meant to grab the numbers. We have 4 impaireds. And if I remember correctly, I could send you the email to give you the specifics, but this past month I think we've also gotten about 6 or 7 24-hour suspensions. So we're ramping up in that area as well.
All right, and Councillor Schuler.
Thank you. Just, I guess, more of a comment than a question, but I've noticed over the last few months a larger number of incidents of people using off-road vehicles throughout town.
Right.
And I have to say, over, I think, the last part of May, it seems to have dropped a bit. And I don't know if that's due to your increased patrols. I'm hoping that's part of it, or maybe some education out there. But this year seems to be a little more particularly bad when it comes to people using off-road vehicles in town. And I live more in the central part of town, so in the past didn't normally see a lot of off-road vehicles, but there's been a fair number.
And traveling through town, you're saying?
Yeah, I'd say traveling through, but also just ripping around the alleyways.
Okay. Well, as always, if we get those reports, we'd like to hear about them. Certainly, there is very specific rules when it comes to off-highway vehicles about being on public roads. Normally the only way they're allowed to do that is when they're crossing it at the very, most direct angle, but no actual driving on public roadways. So, and that again would include the alleyways. So, if there is people doing that, we would certainly like to hear about it.
Presumably that extends to utility right-of-ways as well?
A utility right-of-ways.
That's municipal land,
Right.
Municipal reserve.
I would assume so, but I'd have to look further into that.
Yeah. My recollection of the bylaws that we recently passed
Right.
covers that sort of thing. So the guy that lives behind me hasn't got that memo yet.
Okay.
Anyway, that's not what this meeting's for.
Certainly, if we hear about it, we'll send someone out to take a look.
Excellent. Anything further for Staff Sergeant Calhoun? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, item 6.0, decision items. 6.1, Councillor Wheeler, Deputy Mayor appointment.
Thank you. The position of Deputy Mayor for the town of Drayton Valley is done on a rotating basis for a term of 8 months, with the upcoming term running from July 1st, 2016 to February 28th, 2017. In the past, order of rotation was based on the number of votes each councillor received in the election, with a descending order as follows. Councillor Nicole Nadeau, November 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014. Councillor Graham Long, July 1st, 2014 to February 28th, 2015. Councillor Dean Schuler, March 1st, 2015 to October 31st, 2015. Councillor Farrell Wheeler, November 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016. Councillor Deborah Bossert, July 1st, 2016 to February 28th, 2017. And Councillor Brandy Frederickson, March 1st, 2017 to October 31st, 2017. Council is being asked to appoint Councillor Deborah Bossert as the next Deputy Mayor. Therefore, I move Council approve the appointment of Councillor Deborah Bossert as Deputy Mayor for the town of Drayton Valley for the period of July 1st, 2016 to February 28th, 2017.
Thank you, Councillor Wheeler. And before I call for the vote on that, I want to extend my appreciation to you for your service as Deputy Mayor for the past 8 months, as I have to all of our Deputy Mayors to date. The role of Deputy Mayor has evolved a bit from what it historically has been, which is a last-minute fill-in for the Mayor. And it still is that, let's be clear. But it's more than that. And it's more consultative in nature, and I, for one, value the contributions of the Deputy Mayor enormously. So with that, thank you, and I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Councillor Bossert's thinking this is a great thing. Little does she know. All right, item 6.2, Councillor Bossert, traffic studies.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 significant traffic studies were undertaken in 2015 to examine specific traffic issues and alternatives. These included a traffic impact assessment for the new bus transfer station and a traffic calming study exploring signage and calming alternatives for perceived problem areas on 45th Avenue, 55th Avenue, and 54th Avenue. Administration has reviewed the final reports and, in agreement with their findings, recommend that Council accept these traffic studies as information. Therefore, I move that Council approve the Drayton Valley Bus Transfer Station Transportation Impact Assessment dated November 2nd, 2015 for information.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bossert. Any discussion on this motion? Councillor Long.
Thank you. These are very detailed and lengthy documents. I'm just wanting to clarify exactly what happens next with this process, particularly financially. Some of the recommendations appear to have some impact on future finances.
Mr. Dibben.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Long. One of the aspects, and maybe one just clarifying aspect in terms of the background is, indeed, administration has reviewed these reports and our agreement with the findings. That means that we actually agree that they are appropriate, proper, and technically sound. That is not to be taken, I think, in advance of the fact that we agree and are moving immediately to implementation. As you point out, Councillor Long, they are very detailed, very lengthy. Part of the value in undertaking this work is as we look at our community, improvements to the community, normal life cycle maintenance activities, and how these fit into the various priorities and rankings of these. We view these types of studies and these findings as valuable inputs into providing options and framing out what should be considered when we look at life cycle maintenance and improvements to the community going forward. The immediate impact of these studies will be as we move to the capital planning process for Budget 2017. We will look at the various needs that might impact into the subject areas of these studies, and then that will be brought forward, weighed in terms of all the competing priorities for limited budgetary funding, and then will be brought forward to Council, and we will be assisted by the work of the studies in putting forward various options to Council to consider, and then ultimately seeing where that takes us with the deliberations and the capital plan setting exercise for Budget 2017. And I'm not sure if the Director of Engineering Development has anything further to add, but I'd offer him that opportunity if he would want to supplement.
No, I would just absolutely echo exactly what Dwight's saying there. These are best practices, but it costs money over time to do it, and it has to be prioritized against everything else. So.
Right. Thank you. All right, anything further on this motion? Call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Bossert.
Thank you. I move that Council approve the Drayton Valley Traffic Calming Study Executive Summary dated February 26, 2016 for information.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Item 6.3, Councillor Frederickson, Canada Day Insurance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Every year on July 1st, a committee is comprised of the Community Service Department, community members, and a variety of different organizations host a Canada Day event. In hosting the event, services from a variety of different contractors and local organizations are acquired to provide free family entertainment and, for a minimal fee, food and refreshments for attendees. The following services are being planned for this year's event: inflatables, balloon artists, face painters, photo booth, caricature artists, multicultural information fair, carnival games, traditional old school games, high striker, test your strength, Drayton Valley Evergreen Farmers Market, stage performances / entertainment, barbecue, art in the park, Thunder Car Club show and shine, fireworks display by Aerial Fireworks, popcorn, cotton candy, Slurpees, and snow cones. The town's insurer has indicated that activities or events endorsed by a resolution of council will be recognized as an insured event, thereby minimizing the need for special event insurance. Administration is therefore recommending that the Canada Day event be endorsed by town council as an insured activity of the municipality. Therefore, I move that town council endorses the Canada Day festivities to be covered under the Town of Drayton Valley's general liability insurance.
Thank you, Councillor Frederickson. Any discussion on this motion? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Item 6.4, Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2015, administration was asked to begin the process of rebranding the town of Drayton Valley. The purpose of the rebrand is to create a strong identity for the town, one that will reflect our changing community and resilient population. The new brand will serve to differentiate Drayton Valley on a provincial, federal, and global scale as the town strives for a diversified and sustainable future. Following the tendering and selection process, administration began working with the Marketing Communications Agency and established a brand working group to help guide the development of the new brand. In the fall of 2015, 3 discovery sessions were held to provide perspective to inform the brand strategy and creative development processes. 2 of these sessions were open to the general public, and 1 was held with local grade 6 students. Public consultation provided valuable input to inform the strategy and substantiate the brand. 5 key brand attributes were identified following these discovery sessions. They are catalytic, supportive, sustainable, enterprising, and finally rewarding. These attributes were used in the creative development of the brand and have been reflected in the logo. Going forward, this logo, along with the brand standards and guidelines, will be used in all future communication and promotional advertising for the town of Drayton Valley to allow for a cohesive and succinct messaging. The town of Drayton Valley's crest, technical difficulty, which was approved April 2nd, 1987 as per bylaw 8705 and received ministerial approval from the province of Alberta on May 3rd, 1987, will still be used by the town for official documents including but not limited to agreements, bylaws, policies, letters, and official documents from the office of the mayor. Administration is requesting approval of the new brand and logo, which will be officially unveiled to the public on July 1st, 2016. Therefore, I move the council move in camera at 9:34. 36. Okay.
All right, all in favor of that motion? Or any discussion on that motion? No? I'm sensing none. Is that right? Or you're just ready to go? All in favor of that motion? All right. That's carried. We're moving in camera. Thank you. So we'll ask the room to be vacated for a short period of time.
It's not. When I started, it wasn't on that side of the 7.
All right. Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the council approve the new Town of Drayton Valley brand and logo as discussed in camera to be unveiled publicly on July 1st, 2016.
Thank you, Councillor Nadeau. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Frederickson?
I just want to make note of the May 3rd versus May 13th in the background. You can make that adjustment in that background. The date is actually May 13th.
Was it May 13th? Oh, okay, my mistake. Okay. All righty. With that, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 6.5, Councillor Long.
Thank you. Administration has received an application for an auto body repair shop to be operating at 5223 Industrial Road. Lands are currently zoned C1, that's Central Commercial District, where an auto body repair shop is neither a permitted nor discretionary use. Therefore, council approval is required. The lands along the south end of Industrial Road are Zone C1, that's Central Commercial, and the lands to the north of Industrial Road are Zone C2, General Commercial District. It's to be noted that the subject building was previously an auto body repair shop. Referral letters were sent to adjacent landowners within a 100-metre radius. No comments or concerns were raised. The application for the operations of the proposed auto body shop is hereby presented to Council for decision. We have a recommendation. The Administration Administration recommends approving business license number 4151 with the standard conditions, as well as the special conditions noted below, which is that vehicles waiting to be repaired are to be screened from Industrial Road, and vehicles are replaced in an orderly fashion within the compound only. I've got three options for a motion here, but I'm going to go with option A, based on the recommendation of Administration, that Council approves business license 4151 for a proposed auto body repair shop located at 5223 Industrial Road with the conditions as recommended by Administration.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Frederickson?
Seeing that this was previously an auto body repair shop, is there a reason why we have the zoning as it is?
The thing is, previously it was a auto body workshop, and that's he wanted to take a chance, and he wanted to maintain his
Anything further?
And even if he can apply for rezoning, then he has to apply for C2, and even a C2 is a discretionary use. In the both cases, he goes to a council person.
Councillor Frederickson, are you good? Yeah. Okay, all right. Anything further? All right, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Shahib. Item 6.6, Councillor Schuler, amendment to the purchasing and tendering policy and addition of a standing offer policy. We've all got that today.
Thank you, Worship. Administration proposes to amend the existing purchasing and tendering policy TF0115 and to add new standing offer policy TF0116 to facilitate town's procurement of goods, services, and construction. The policy amendment is consistent with the National Agreement on International Trade and the New West Partnership Agreement, as well as recommendations by the consulting engineers of Alberta with respect to quotes, RFP limits for service. It also addresses some gaps in the previous policy, such as speaking to unsolicited bids, as well as updating expenditure limits based on the current organizational structure. The companion standing offer policy identifies principles regarding pricing agreements from suppliers to enable the town to procure goods and services from previously qualified companies at previously agreed upon prices. I therefore move that Council approve the standing offer policy TF0116 as presented.
We can take that one first.
Sorry, I can change it.
Yep, go ahead.
The Council approved the amended purchasing and tendering policy TF0115 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion before us. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Frederickson and then Councillor Wheeler.
I'm just looking at 13.1. And I know this was discussed. The staff shall solicit a minimum of 3 competitive bids whenever practicable. How would that look in reality? So, and I know with the discussion back and forth, my question is, when staff are soliciting 3 competitive bids, are they able to put a deadline on that solicitation so that the process itself isn't held up by getting that information back from those bids?
Mr. Dibben?
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Frederickson. Yes, our intention, as a following a best practice, certainly when there is an opportunity, a need, or even in cases where we have an unsolicited offer, We do and endeavor to undertake a best practice to try and find out if there are alternate approaches, including, and this is more of a softer practice, but looking to shop local and ensuring that we do have other consultants, other firms, other aspects that operate on our behalf, and we want to make sure that we are both getting value for money, but also are reflective and cognizant of the larger community in which we live. We do try and do that very quickly. Generally, that is done, by a direct basis, calls that are placed out to local vendors or local suppliers, and we do ask them to get back to us generally within a couple, 3 days. We do understand that sometimes in other workloads and aspects it might take a little bit longer, and so we do chase, and we have in recent memory had follow-up calls just to ensure or to get an indication that they are not interested in submitting or bidding. So we do try and do that in a very timely fashion.
Councillor Frederickson?
Thank you. Just one other note, 13.2 on, at the back of C, I'm not sure if that's just, if it's supposed to be, a formatting, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, just to bring that to attention.
Councillor Wheeler?
Thank you. Mine's just a general question on the first page in 1.0. It talks about the policy applied to departments, but also any boards which receive 75% of their funding from the town. And I wonder if we have a list of those boards and if they will be informed.
Yes, that would certainly be our intention if these changes are made, that we would then ascertain who it might apply to and make sure that they have a copy of the new policy and what the obligations are and the changed levels and limits.
All right. Anything further? Okay. Call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Councillor Schuler.
Thank you. Also move the council approve the standing offer policy TF0116 as presented.
Thank you. Any discussion on this motion? All right. Seeing almost saw none. Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you. So the standing offer, I'm just wondering if you can really, how does this look, I guess, on a day-to-day business basis? How does this work in conjunction with the procurement policy? So once we have a list of standing offers, does that supersede the procurement, or how? I'm just trying to visualize in my head how this works.
Mr. Diven.
I would characterize it as also providing another option for and a best practice for the procurement of goods and services, not just the ones that, because we would have to be compliant with the tendering and purchasing policy as well. But it is a best practice to look at in terms of transparency and visibility for how the town conducts its business, and ensuring that there is an open process for individuals, companies, entities that would like to supply goods, services, other activities to the town, that they can do so. It does provide a greater degree of flexibility in some cases, that I can't say that there are typical procurements that would exceed other thresholds in the purchasing and tendering policy. But if there is some great deal that we can source or an opportunity, we would like to do that in a fashion that also can demonstrate to the public that there has been some rigor put in place toward the vendors and suppliers that we do use, that we are aware of multiple options and opportunities for these products, and it does provide a more regular opportunity for entities and corporations to be aware of business opportunities with the town as well, which we have heard at times that they would like to see more notice and more awareness of what some of those opportunities may be with the town of Drayton Valley.
Thank you very much. Anything further? All right. All in favor? That is carried. 6.7, Councillor Wheeler, water rate classes.
Thank you. Currently, the town of Drayton Valley has 2 water rate classes, the residential rate and the bulk rate. The town does not have a separate commercial rate, meaning that with very few exceptions, most commercial enterprises and activities located in the town pay the residential rate regardless of the volume consumed and the purpose of the water usage. Administration is recommending to council that on a go-forward basis, a commercial water rate should be established. Establishing such a rate would be consistent with long-term policy goals of the town and the larger region as contained in the Community Sustainability Plan and the Community Development Plan. Long-term growth objectives of the town, as well as current and future economic development activities and objectives, must also be considered when assessing and making a determination of, if established, what the commercial rate will be set at. In initially establishing a commercial water rate, administration is recommending that the commercial water rate be set at the same as the residential water rate for the remainder of the 2016 fiscal calendar year. It is expected that Budget 2017 deliberations and discussions will formalize the criteria around rates going forward. Therefore, I move that council approve the establishment of a commercial water rate equal to the residential water rate for the remainder of the 2016 fiscal year, and that the 2016 fee schedule be amended in accordance with these changes.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wheeler. So essentially, this is a planning piece as it regards water and water rates. Mr. Diven, you had a comment?
Maybe just a couple of comments, Mr. Mayor, if I may, and thank you, Council Administration. Appreciates the opportunity to speak and put this before you for consideration today. One of the aspects that was curious, I guess, to myself upon assuming this role, and that we saw when looking at Budget 2016 and fees and charges going forward, was the fact that, there is not a commercial or in some ways an industrial water rate. There is basically a long-standing water rate, and in more recent memory there was the establishment by the town of a bulk water rate. In terms of a number of different things, including significant capital investments made by the town in a new water treatment plant facility and related works, and other improvements to our water and sewer distribution systems as well. We will shortly be receiving updated water and sewer studies and other detailed work that will then be brought forward to council as a part of Budget 2017 in terms of what the appropriate recapture of these investments are, and one of those methods is through water rates. Also in keeping with significant work that has been undertaken in the community, particularly toward the Community Sustainability Plan, there are a number of policy objectives that have been outlined and approved by Council contained in those in terms of a more sustainable community going forward. We did look at this point in time, various options. The recommendation before you today is as an interim measure for a planning aspect to establish a rate for the interim period while all of these studies and other factors are considered and policy decisions contemplated that would find their expression in Budget 2017. We did not want to be presumptuous about what those factors would be and the relative weighting and merits that Council would bring to them, hence the recommendation that initially the commercial rate would be at the same level as the residential rate going forward. That may or may not be Council's decision and wish going forward, but it does afford a planning option and a planning tool that could be contemplated in Budget 2017 and before. Just so Council's aware, we did do a bylaw review and a policy review. Going back, there are two documents that speak to that, that being bylaw 200915E, which is basically the establishment of water and sewer and penalties for non-payment of these charges for the community. There is nothing in this bylaw that indicates any policy levers or rationale for the rates that we do have, just that they are established and that they can be levied by the community. The only bylaw or policy instrument that exists that might speak to an element of this was bylaw 2011-02E, which spoke to the sustainability charge that was approved by Council in that year, that is applied to all consumers in a measure to reduce the overall consumption of water. And so that is the one policy lever, if you will, that is in existence right now, that certainly this would be contemplated, I believe, by the various committee structures and also the budget deliberations process in terms of if there are other factors, if they are going to be looked at it being levied across all classes or in differential aspects, but we will have the technical studies that will also support those deliberations here in the coming weeks as well. And should there be differential treatments contemplated, we would look then as well as what the consequential changes might be advisable to bylaw 200915E as well. So I just provide that by way of background, Mr. Mayor, as to sort of our thinking and our reason for why doing this at this time as we move forward on longer-term planning.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Diven. Was there anything further on this? All right. All in favor? That's carried. Item 6.8, Councillor Bossert, appointment of weed inspectors.
As per the agreement made on April 25, 2016, between the two municipalities, the town of Drayton Valley has requested Brazeau County to provide weed control inspection services within the town. It is the desire of the parties of this agreement that the level of weed control within the town of Drayton Valley and Brazeau County is consistent, accurate, and equitable while protecting the environmental conditions of all parcels. In accordance with Section 7, 1, and 9 of the Alberta Weed Control Act, municipal inspectors, 7.1A, A, a local authority shall appoint inspectors to enforce and monitor compliance of with this act within the municipality. Municipal inspectors have joint authority. Section 9, an inspector appointed by a municipality may, with the consent of the local authority of another municipality, enforce and monitor compliance with this act within the other municipality, which is weed control 19/2010. The following weed inspector appointments were made at the May 17, 2016 Brazeau County Council meeting. They are Lisa Rabel and Tara McGinn and Natalie LaForest. In order to provide weed inspection services, the Town Council is being asked to appoint the above individuals for the 2016 season. Therefore, I move that Council appoint Lisa Rabel, Tara McGinn, and Natalie LaForest as the weed inspectors for the Town of Drayton Valley for the 2016 as per the Alberta Weed Control Act.
Thank you, Councillor Bossert. Any discussion on this motion? All right, all in favor? That is carried. I think I'll call a 5-minute break at this time, and we'll reconvene at 10:26-ish. Reports, engineering and development, planning and development. Shahid. Where is Shahid? There we are.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have to report 2 items regarding development permit and business licenses. So since our last council meeting, PND approved 5 development permit and 5 business licenses. And out of 5 development permit, 3 development permits are for deck, and the 4th one is for shed, and 5th one is for demolition of mobile home. And if you see business licenses, so that include hockey, sports pro shop, aesthetic, and number 3rd is janitorial and property maintenance. Number 4th is chain link fencing, and number 5th is installation of artificial turf. So I believe Drayton Valley maintaining the pace of development and progressing as compared to the last year. As we can see, the business licenses, all 5 business licenses are new, and it's almost at the same number what we have in our previous year. So Drayton Valley progressing very satisfactory and maintaining its pace of development.
Any questions, Councillor Nadeau?
Not so much a question, but I really appreciate your breakdown every council meeting. I just think it's so clear and concise in what's going on and answers any questions that we may have on what those developments are. So I really appreciate the report.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Bossert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 questions. First is that the demolition of the mobile home at Pleasant View, that land is zoned as agricultural district, and I'm just wondering how
Mobile home is allowed as a discretionary in agriculture.
Okay. And the installation of artificial turf, that business license, is that a long-term business license or just short-term for the summer?
I believe, it's every year they have to renew, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Engineers report, Ron Fraser.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. So the last couple of weeks, we've been very busy preparing an application for the Community Infrastructure Program 150 grant. We put in an application for more trails to be done in Drayton Valley, ostensibly between the CETC and the Omniplex. So we're hopeful that we can get this funding. So the request is for approximately $460,000. So we'll see where that goes. I've been working hard at formally submitting our project request for 2016 for our MSI and federal gas tax grants. Like, we've already got our allocation, but now we're just populating the specific projects. Federal gas tax has been finalized. I just have a follow-up conversation with the municipal affairs with the MSI grant coming up. We have finalized the master plans for the water, storm, sanitary, and infiltration studies with ISL. We have boxes of these plans, large documents, as well as the master capital plan for the water and sewer for underground services. So we will probably fairly soon be presenting them to council as information. The 43rd Avenue Extension Project started up approximately June 15th. We will complete the first layer of asphalt this year. It should be open to traffic. Hopefully by the end of summer, we should have it open. We've been reviewing various development-related issues around town, including some encroachment and easement issues. McElhaney is completing the road study. They've currently, that was looking at traffic signs and line markings and so forth. One of the deliverables was a street sign and road marking manual specific for Drayton Valley. They've just submitted that, in the process of reviewing it, but they will be completing their overall study probably in July. As far as the sanitary trunk main, I continuing to have conversations with the county as to options as to where to locate that. The reason for the discussions are we're looking at a few alignments, and one good option is potentially running it alongside Range Road 73 as opposed to private land farther to the east. But we would need the county's concurrence, and we're in discussions about that. The Civic Center roof, everybody realizes it's still leaking. We did hire an engineer to do a kind of a brief inspection of it, like a cursory overview. I'm waiting for his report, and it will indicate whether a more in-depth study is required or whether he has a solution that can be done at this stage. So waiting to hear back on that. The Open Space Park project is still underway. I'm sure people have driven past it, seen lots of trees and lots of work happening there. I think the paving should start fairly soon on the pathways, and it's progressing quite well. We were working on dust suppression on the gravel roads, but it got stopped due to the rain, which also solved the problem. Yeah. And I guess when it dries up, we'll continue and we'll finish it. Let's see now, the sanitary trunk lines, again, that was underway. It also got stopped out by the rain. We are doing camera work inside those lines to try to figure out where all these deposits of rags and everything else is coming from. So we have some initial work that's been done on that, and they still have some cleaning left to do. It's been a major project. Public Works is also dealing with some flooding issues down at the Ivantoe Park, basically caused by the beavers in there. The ring road was deteriorating pretty badly this spring, so we initially scarified it and hauled in some fresh millings from 50th Street last year. And we bladed that and kind of initial work, and our plan is to, we've had a bit of difficulty sourcing the MG250 oil to be incorporated, but I have Paul working on the case, so we will be re-scarifying it, applying the oil, and rolling it with rubber-tied rollers and tightening it up. So right now you'll notice there's a windrow on one side and so forth, but it's not finished. Our force has been doing some cleanup at the Cenotaph and also addressing some graffiti at the skate park. The fence is coming down at the bus hub, I believe July 4th or July 5th. We offered to Wild Rose if they wanted to continue to have that fence up, it would be at their cost because basically construction's wrapping up, school year's wrapping up, and they indicated it's okay to take it down. So. Let's see now. Waiting to complete the patching asphalt work at Aurora School after school is out, so they'll be able to just go after it. The wheelchair ramps, we did approximately 24 locations of improving the wheelchair ramps to current standards at intersections. We have been doing some sidewalk repairs, removing trip hazards, some sidewalk replacements. The bicycle racks are all up. 11 of them are up and one yet to go at the open space park when it's ready. We're still putting some final signage up on the CETC access road. We're still waiting for some locates for lines before we can put a couple of the signs in. So, and that would be it.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Bossert, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ron, for a comprehensive report. It's good to hear all of the different things that your department is working on. I had the opportunity to go down to the open space park yesterday. We still haven't named that park. And I just wanted to say it is looking impressive, very impressive. I was able to talk to two of the young men that were working down there. They were taking great pride in the work that they were doing. So I just think it's a wonderful transformation of what we've been able to do in that park, and Mother Nature complied and filled the pond for us, so it's looking quite beautiful. I know we've got a few extra shrubs in there, and wonder what's going to happen with them, but it is looking beautiful, and I look forward to seeing it pretty much completed by the end of the summer, and our community being able to access it and enjoy it, because it's a beautiful space. I also want to comment on the ring road, the scarification, and the milling of the road there. I did have a comment from a resident, and he was not understanding what the process was of the maintenance of that piece of road down there, and mentioned that it was very disruptive to the residents there. So I'm wondering if there's a way of, on the town page or on Facebook, just a little blurb of what we're actually doing down there, because people perceive that it's just a piecemeal kind of fill-in, that it's not a very good full-time or permanent solution for the roadway down there. So just somehow getting word out what the intentions are for that road and what we're actually doing, so that the residents know what our intentions are. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I have Councillor Schuler, and then Councillor Frederickson, you have your hand up, or is that just a preemptive hand up?
I had my hand up for a bit, and then,
Okay, I'm going to Councillor Schuler, and I'll let you formulate your thoughts.
I know every year we generally will do tree trimming and stuff. I haven't seen anything going on yet this year. Is that planned, as we do have a number of trees that are impeding sidewalks, et cetera? So just wondering what the plan is for that.
To my understanding, it is in the plans. I don't know the exact schedule, but it is the normal component of work that we, I think Joan's involved in it, and I think one of the private contractors involved in it. So it is, I can follow up with that and find out when the schedule is, but it should be done. Yep, should be done this year.
Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you. Just to echo Councillor Bossert's comments there, I had a conversation with one of the residents of near the open space park that lives right across the road, and he was quite excited that there is a park space going in there, that it's going to be used. And I've heard this from other things too, with regards to just having the skate park there. There were concerns, whereas having something that's a bit more, where you're bringing in more population during all times of the day and evening, that there is a positive there.
That warms my heart to hear that. Councillor Nadeau.
Well, Councillor Bossert had hit on it, and it's always being referred to as the Open Spaces Park, but really it is time that we looked at a name, and I'm just wondering when we can do that, and if there's going to be, if administration has a plan for that.
Well, the answer, if there's a plan.
The answer is yes, there is a plan.
Oh, very good.
Yes, yeah. So of course now with the fact that the adoption of the naming policy for the different spaces and that, so I think it's important as well too for the community to see everything that's going to be incorporated within the park. It gives them then an idea of what that park is going to be, what's the flavor, what's the type of activity that's going to happen. So once we are able to present most of the amenities within that park, then of course we'll be putting out the process for the naming of the park.
Very good, thanks. I've said it many times before, and you'll hear it many times again. It is, development on that space is the most significant act of neighborhood revitalization this community has ever seen. It's good to hear that residents in the area are taking interest and taking pride in the development, as are we. So, great, thank you. All right, we are on to Community Services and FCSS. Annette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I will, first of all, distribute the summer brochures that are going to be circulated to every resident, not only within the town of Drayton Valley, but also within the county area. These are the activities, of the summer activities for our youth from all ages throughout the community. And I'm sure that you'll be so enthralled with what's in there and you'll miss out on the rest of my report. But anyway, okay. There are a ton of activities happening this summer. And really the nice thing about what we're able to say about the programs is that several of these programs are being offered free. Now that does not mean the quality of the program is not there. But we just want to recognize that this is something that, again, we're encouraging members of our community to please remain active, no matter what your circumstances, remain active. And this is one opportunity, well, many opportunities for families to participate in a number of activities. In addition to the summer programs, the tennis courts are being resurfaced, and the hospital site tennis courts will have 1 tennis court and 4 pickleball courts, of which they're having a pickleball event today. So I'm sure that the residents, and again, it's a sport for all ages. The schools have it as part of their program as well. So we see that as an up-and-coming added activity for the community. A lot has been mentioned about the open space development, and we're working on the inclusion of the fitness equipment. The tables and chairs and benches, or tables, benches, and recycling stations have been in order, so we're looking at putting them in within the summer. And of course, the development of the outdoor rink will be proceeding towards the end of August sometime in terms of the development of the outdoor rink. So those amenities, of course, in terms of getting those all set and established, and then of course We know that individuals have been going through the park, just walking through and admiring what is happening within the park. So it will be an exciting time. We will, of course, be asking the community to respect the fact that after it is seeded, that they allow the grass to grow and to catch, so that next year we have a very good solid base and a really wonderful, completely finished park with a name. I don't think I have to remind anybody, Canada Day is right around the corner. And of course, the number of activities that we have, Council received the brief listing of those activities in the resolution, talking about the number of things that will be happening and the different types of community organizations that are involved with us. Again, it really is and continues to be a community event. Our department is still dealing with the remaining individuals, evacuees from the Fort McMurray wildfire, and of course working with them on their re-entry plan back to Fort McMurray, and if it's not to Fort McMurray, then having them, of course, relocate to that site of their choice. So we are continuing to work with those individuals. The fitness center improvements, the last improvements, of course, we didn't want to disrupt the regular season or the busy season of the people participating at the fitness center, so the last renovations will be happening through July and August, and the fall programming is looking superb. So really excited about the number of things that we're seeing coming up within the fall programming for the fitness center. Communities in Bloom, I will leave this. I'm sure Councillor Nadeau has a number of things to say about the upcoming Communities in Bloom and getting ready for that big project. And the last is the Early Childhood Development Center. The open house is tonight from 5:30 to 7:30. And with the list of activities that the program manager mentioned at yesterday's meeting, it will be full. So highly encouraging everyone to go and take a look at what's happening at the ECDC. That's my report.
Thank you so much. Is there any, Councillor Bossert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Drayson, I just really want to commend your department for the work that has been focused on bringing programming into the community for families. I remember not too many years ago where we were really searching for programming for our youth and our little ones during the summer, and this is undoubtedly a solution for our community. We needed programming, and now we have it. So kudos to your department, to all the people involved in bringing these programs together. I see that they're not just town entities, that it's community entities coming together to provide services for our families throughout the summer, and some of them being free and accessible is excellent for our community. So I just recall a few years ago how much this was needed, and here it is. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks so much. 7.3, Economic Development. Eric Burton. Good morning.
Good morning. I only have one item to share with you today, and that is tomorrow we'll be hosting a discussion with financial leaders in the community to begin a dialogue on how we can support entrepreneurs. So we're going to have many of the local banks represented, as well as a Futurepreneur, as well as a few local entrepreneurs who have expressed an interest in moving some projects forward to give their perspective on some of the challenges. And the hope is to identify where the gaps are in the finance and investment for local entrepreneurs in partnership with the financial leaders who know better than anybody how we can fill those gaps. So really excited about it. It's going to be a breakfast from 7:30 to 9:30 tomorrow morning, and you know, it's just the beginning of a dialogue, but if anyone is interested in coming and joining, it should be an interesting conversation.
Councillor Nadeau?
You explained it yesterday what Futurepreneurs was, but maybe if you can explain for council and the audience, because it's a great initiative. So
yeah, so there's a lot of different financial services available across the province. Not all of them are interested in coming for a 7:30 breakfast, but thankfully Futurepreneur did. And Futurepreneur is a federally funded agency that supports youth in starting businesses. So youth as defined as under 39. And what they do, what they do is they provide up to $15,000 worth of loans, as well as access to an additional $30,000 through BDC. And as part of that, the entrepreneur gets mentored. So it's meant to support local youth, not only through the financing, but also with some additional expertise. So this is an important program that's offered across the country. The challenge is ensuring that they have mentors to pair up, because they don't provide funding support if they can't find the right mentors. So, in my view, it's an opportunity to create a community-level discussion and connect them in with local people, so that if we have local entrepreneurs, then they're able to connect them with appropriate mentors. So I'm excited that they're going to come out. They're also, the Business Link is a provincial service provider that has sent their regrets, but is going to be providing information to Futurepreneur to bring, because they work very closely together. So, so I'm excited that we do have some folks from Edmonton coming to join in the discussion, but it's really, the focus is going to be the people on the ground that really have their finger on the pulse of what the challenges and opportunities are.
Very good. Councillor Frederickson, who is a youth.
I am a youth. Location for the breakfast, you never mentioned.
It's at the Clean Energy Technology Center.
Another Councillor Wheeler. We have them in our
Is
midst.
this open to the public coming, or was this invitation like RSVP, people should let you know?
It was I went around and I invited people. It's meant to be a bit of a first run at trying to create some engagement. So to that end, I tried to keep it fairly low-key in order to start small and build from there. Having said that, the more the merrier.
Councillor Bossert.
Good morning, Eric. If a person happens to know of a young entrepreneur, how can, and that person's not able to attend tomorrow, is there resources or output from this gathering that an entrepreneur might be able to access at a later date? I know I know you know who I'm thinking of, and she's not available, but she would be really would like to glean what she can from these meetings. So.
Yeah, I think that the broader message that I hope this and other activities gets out to the community is that entrepreneurs should really be getting in touch with me, right? Because I've been building a database of entrepreneurs and working with them one-on-one. And what we're trying to do is build some of the community support so that as they connect in with us and reach out to the town, we're not only able to meet with them one-on-one, but we're able to connect them in with the community services. So it's a bit of a chicken and an egg thing, because we want to know we have the information that entrepreneurs need. And to do that, we need to build some engagement with community leaders in different areas. In order to create engagement with community leaders, we also need to have the insights of entrepreneurs on what their challenges are. So this is the beginning of that process, to try to start by creating that engagement, leading to inspiration and support. So short answer is put entrepreneurs in touch with me, and I'll work with them to engage with all the services that they need locally.
Anything further? All right. Thanks very much.
Okay, thanks.
Emergency Services, Tom Thompson.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. If I could direct Council's attention to the stats on 162 and 163 of your package. Just to go through those briefly, we responded to 25 calls for the month of May, 2 of which were fire calls, one of them involving an outside storage shed, a large outside storage shed. The other one was a vehicle fire which was abandoned and set on fire, which is suspicious at this point in time. We responded to 7 grass fires. 2 of them were along highways, which is a bit of a concern for us in regards to people being a little bit careless when our temperatures were extremely high and it was dry in the area. We also responded to a rubbish fire that was on fire. As well, we responded to 3 fire pit fire complaints during the fire ban, which was a little bit of a concern as people were ignoring the fire ban. We also responded to a hay bale that had caught fire, and that was probably due to the moisture, and it was heating up, which caused the ignition of the hay bale. In regards to rescue calls, we responded to 1 rescue call, which involved 2 adults and a small child who were stranded down by the river. They drove through part of the river and ended up getting stuck, and because they had a young child, they panicked a little bit, and so they required our services to get their vehicle and themselves out of the area. We also responded to 10 alarm calls. 5 of them were residential calls as a result of cooking incidents, 3 business alarms, 1 alarm of a farm outbuilding, and an alarm activation at a seniors apartment complex, which we didn't determine what the cause was there. We responded to 3 assisting other agency calls, 2 of them with EMS. 1 involved a young adult who was not breathing, and we assisted with that. We also had another cardiac arrest call in which we arrived first on scene, and we're dealing with that. We also assisted the RCMP with traffic control on another incident that they were dealing with. The last area was miscellaneous calls. We had 2 miscellaneous calls. 1 was the result of a power line being down on the ground as a result of a windstorm. The other one was a carbon monoxide complaint at a local business, which in actual fact they did have carbon monoxide problems, so it was wise that they contacted us so that we could assist them with that. So that brought our total to 25 calls. In regards to some of the other things that were going on with the fire department, the last month we've been very busy with kindergarten classes. As part of their curriculum, they come and visit the fire hall, so we have had little guys running around the fire hall for the last month from all the different schools. We just wrapped up our high school fire class. The kids were treated to a live burn in our burn tower, which opened a lot of eyes for them, which was a real adrenaline rush for the kids that went to that. We are in the process of getting ready for the kids camps, which are totally full. In fact, our kids camps filled up in less than 5 hours from the day it opened, so it was extremely fast. We do have spots still available with our youth camp, and that's for ages 13 to 16 years of age. So we have a couple of spaces left. If anybody is interested in getting involved in that, we still have some spots available, but I'm sure it'll be full by the time it rolls around in the summer. The last part I've been busy with is working on the training center, as council is aware. You saw the presentation at the joint council meeting. We are completing work on the engineering master plan. We've also had our facility being put out to the rest of the fire departments around Alberta and Canada through the Responder magazine. I've had several fire departments contact me already, interested in working with us on the project and being involved. I've also had a few business people in town that have heard about the project and are very intrigued with it and wanted to know how they could help and become involved. So it's started to become a big thing, and it started to become very interesting. So we'll see where it takes us. As part of that, one of the things that I was at County Council yesterday, and I urged them to do the same thing. One of the things that we're going to need to look at is doing a master plan for the airport. So that is something that I encourage Council to look at in the near future, because we need to decide what we're going to be doing with that, so that we can ensure that we have access to the airport for our training purposes. And that's my report. Any questions?
Thanks very much. Any questions at all? No? Councillor Nadeau?
I've already told Tom, but just for the rest of the my dad still gets a responder, and he immediately called me upon reading it, gushing of how amazing it was. So, and he's still talking about it. So it's remarkable again, and I just want to say how proud we are and of all the work that you guys have done on this project, and I'm really excited about it, and so are apparently a million other former fire chiefs. So good luck.
Yeah. Councillor Frederickson.
With regards to the airport, you had said you had mentioned it to Brazeau County, and you're encouraging us. Would this be something that we would be undertaking together rather than looking at two separate studies? Or, I guess, how do you visualize the politics of this working out?
From understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, the airport is kind of a different beast, because the town is in control of the airport and they manage the airport. However, any development at the airport goes through the county. So in that perspective, I would look at it as a joint venture. I've in discussions with the county, they are interested in that, and they recognize that at some point that study needs to be done. So.
Yeah. And of course, there is an ongoing arrangement for operational expenses, but this will need to, this is an enhancement over and above the normal operational expense cost sharing that does occur, and so we'll have to look to our neighbors to share in that, the financial responsibility for that. But it is a good idea, of course, and necessary, and all that sort of thing. Mr. Dibben.
It may be related, but one of the items that we've been made aware of that the county has recently discussed, I believe, in their council deliberations, was the potential formation of an airport commission. We do not know exactly how they envision that or what their thinking and timelines is along those lines, but it is something that's on my agenda to talk to my counterpart when we get together later this month and start scoping out agenda items for the next joint council meeting, which we are led to believe that may be on their list of things that they wish to bring forward at that time.
Councillor Frederickson. Yeah.
Is there an opportunity for us to get an electronic copy of the article or whatever that went into the Responder magazine and perhaps forward it to our communications to put out there? Again, we've talked about tooting our horn, which we don't do. This I see as an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, we have a copy out. Yeah. He's next up. All right. Go ahead.
The chief was done or not?
I think.
I think we should have an adult version of being able to, like what the kindergartens have. I think that would be a lot of fun to run around the fire hall. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's got my report for this morning. A few things. One, the app. We're up to 1,042 downloads right now. 776 on the Apple Store, and then 266 on the Google Play Store. I've actually been in contact with Purple Forge. They've yet to get back to me about possibly getting more downloads on the Google Play Store. I'm not sure what we can do, but it's always to be able to explore the options. Also, we are looking to redevelop our website yet again, because of course we do have a rollout coming up on July the 1st. So, yes, we do have it in the test phase right now, and it will be rolling out on July the 1st. Also, we do have to look at our app as well, which is goes hand in hand, and so we are also developing that to be able to roll out also on July the 1st. Last council meeting, the mayor asked me a little bit about the reported problem, and wanted to be able to know some statistics. I do have statistics for the entire year, looking back an entire year on the reported problem. We have had 16 reported problems in the last year. Number one being road issues, where what happens is we get the email from our app, and then we forward it to the appropriate department. That department then gets back to us, and we email back the reported problem issue that we have. Some of the other ones that we've actually received reported problems on include animal control, graffiti, park issues, sidewalks, traffic, unsightly property, waste collection, and water issues. So those are the different departments that have been receiving a reported problem, and but we do not record the phone calls that go directly to them. This is just directly through the app. So,
That's it?
that is all.
All right. Any questions? Okay, thank you. What? False start.
Someone ask me after.
Okay. Okay. And Mr. Diven, CAO report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Morning, Council. A few items to report on. The first being I was able to attend the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators Conference, which was in Winnipeg between May 29th and June 2nd, hence my absence at the last council meeting. So thank you for your indulgences in allowing me to attend that. The theme this year was resiliency and resiliency of the CAO. Very appropriate, I thought, in keeping with a number of different items, in keeping with our community and the aspects and issues that we're facing. I was even more delighted that, as advertised, about half of the sessions actually dealt with the theme, and not just from the CAO, but organizationally as well. So it had a bit of a slow start. With, I would say, presentations and aspects that were more of the economic development and boosterism to the Winnipeg and larger region area. But as we got into some of the other breakout sessions and the closing keynote, very much on point, very much speaking to the increased challenges that are being faced by municipal administrators. But what I appreciated also was a reflection that heightened expectations and challenges are being faced by all who serve, elected officials, administrators, and at all orders of government. And it is becoming an increasingly prevalent situation and scenario, and a number of individuals, many who are from outside of, I would say, government and public service circles, bringing that recognition from their corporate and business and other aspects as well. So it is nice to know that there is an understanding of that, if it doesn't necessarily translate always into understanding and compassion and tolerance when it comes down to the issues of the day. So all in all, I was very happy to attend and appreciated the opportunity to do that. Over these last few weeks, a number of different sessions, meetings, and aspects, including the MGA review session that was in Rocky Mountain House on June the 6th. A variety of meetings I would probably just lump together with individuals, businesses, business interests in town and in the community on a variety of issues. Ron had touched upon some of those in his report, but dealing with land use, permitting issues, compliance issues, easement issues, traffic and safety, facility operations, but also getting, given the time of year that it is, into taxation levels, tax relief, and other aspects along those lines. Again, my appreciation to council with the decision item that was approached earlier in terms of water rates and looking at some of these steps and planning steps going forward. As was also referenced in some of the other studies, a lot of work that is not necessarily visible yet to council and the public, but just in terms of looking at the town's assets, the town infrastructure, the state of town planning, and realizing that we haven't been as diligent as we probably should have been in maintaining these plans, updating them, and ensuring that from both a content and a fiscal position that they are updated, relevant, and comprehensive, and that we do need this baseline information that is kept in that state so that proper planning and scoping can be done, and as well proper information and options can be presented to council, whether it's on an individual policy approach basis or rolled up in terms of when we do budget, operating, and capital type of allocations. So that will continue over the next number of weeks. And although it just seems like we finished the last budget round, we are administratively heavy into the next budget round, and we will be engaging you very shortly in those fun-filled activities as well. So with that, I'll stop, Mr. Mayor, and ask if there's any questions.
Right. I see Mr. McMillan in the room, and just following your comments about budget, did you have anything that you were compelled to report or add or any of that sort of thing? If not, that's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Numbers are numbers. That's what you guys say. Sorry, do you? I'm kind of going on. Good morning.
Morning. Yeah, sorry, I don't really have anything of note. Like Mr. Diven said, we'll be rolling it out over the next month and a half and kind of really getting our hands dirty at that point.
Okay. Excellent. We'll wait for that. We'll take a breath. Anything further for Mr. Diven? No? Okay. We'll get into council reports. Councillor Schroeder.
Thank you, Worship. Just a couple things to report on June 14th at the Waste Management Committee meeting in replacement of Councillor Bossert, who was away. And it was, I'm not going to go into details, I'll leave that to the chair, but it was actually quite refreshing. I haven't been to a waste management meeting in quite some time, and it was quite refreshing, the areas that they're looking at, and I think we'll see some very good things coming forward from that committee shortly. June 16th, the MLA roundtable, and it was interesting. There was a number of people from the community there, mainly oil, but also from other sectors, forestry and business. Some few interesting questions that were brought forward, but it was somewhat informational. Nothing really jumps out at me that any real insight. So, and then June 17th, CETC committee meeting. This one was an in-camera meeting, so there's not a whole lot that I can report on this one. But I do want to say that things are moving ahead. There's still some exciting projects on the go, and hopefully we'll see some of that coming forward shortly here. So. And that's about all I have. I hope everyone has a good Canada Day and gets out to the parade and the festivities, the ones that will be around. And hope everyone enjoys. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. It was a busy month out and about. The high school had their fine arts night I was out at. As deputy, I was at the Holy Trinity commencement, as well as the Eckville parade. And there was the MGA review. I had our physician recruitment AGM. Went to the seniors tea. How fast can you type, Rita? I was down in Olds for a one-day planning and strategy session, and it was talking about how we, as communities, need to work on our long-term strategy and vision and where we go and how we kind of write it up and report it, like the nuts and bolts of writing a plan. So it was good. It was neat to talk to other towns and see what they have going on. I know we've talked about doing kind of a service review, but there's one town that did a council service review about what council actually does and why they do it. And I was like, So it was my take-home piece for the weekend. And then the Wild Rose School Division had their long-term service awards. There's a few of our administration members who have been in our school division for a very long time in our community that are retiring, so it was nice to wish them farewell and wish them also a happy time in their retirement. Everyone's speech seemed to involve sleeping more and and eating more, doing what they want, so I think it was a theme they were definitely ready to enjoy. And our sustainability committee also had just had a meeting, and we talked about the greenhouse gas emissions report, which will be coming and moving forward, and our new bike racks, which Ron did talk about, but we're all very excited for. They're gorgeous all over town, and we're going to be doing a promotional piece where you get to take a picture with a selfie with you and your bike locked up to one. There'll be more coming out on the Facebook site as Danette gets that. We did talk about the Women in Leadership program wrapping up, and they'll be doing a wrap-up session with the students as well as the mentors. And then, yeah, just reviewing the plan. So other than that, things are good.
All right. Councillor Bossert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report is short. As Councillor Schuler mentioned, I've been away. I was, however, at the Federal Canadian Municipalities Conference in Winnipeg from June 2nd to 5th, and my takeaway from that conference is that the upper levels of government, being the federal government, is having a different perspective on the importance of municipal governance. And very interesting comments were made regarding our importance, our role in this country. A slightly different perspective from former premiers and prime ministers. So it was a good conference. I will have reports coming forward. I was able to attend 2 out of 3 of my tours, and just found the city of Winnipeg itself very embracing, very culturally aware and informative, and I was able to have some insight into that. So I was thankful and grateful that I was able to attend the FCM this year. I also attended on June 16th the MLA roundtable with Councillor Schuler and Long, and the word that I circled in my notes from that meeting was balanced, that our MLA and our opposition leader have in mind balanced approaches to energy and to our economy going forward. So it will be interesting to see how all that rolls out in the future. It was good to hear comments from the people gathered at that meeting, their concerns in our community, that they wanted to move forward with their MLA. And June 15th, which was the day I returned home, I briefly attended the GMP meeting. So not much to report in the last 2 weeks, as I was able to spend time with family out in Manitoba. I do look forward to stepping into the role of deputy mayor, and pray I have at least half the energy that Councillor Wheeler has put into her role. So that's my report. Thank you.
Half the energy is about the most that some of us can hope for. So I'm with you on that. Councillor Frederickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Loosely linked to council, I think it's because of the role in council of why I was nominated in the first place, but I've been partaking in the Humans Helping Humans Housing Foundation Shaken and Drayton fundraiser. So that kicked off June 2nd, I believe, was the reveal, and I have met with my dance partner and went through a basic get-to-know-ya dancing session with him. And it's been super fun. So right now, as part of my role in this, I am soliciting donations and whatnot. So I'm excited for the actual event in December. And there's lots of people I've talked to that I've really talked it up from last year, because I had a great time last year, that are really interested in attending this year. So it'll be fun. I attended a homelessness and poverty reduction meeting in place of Councillor Bossert. And so essentially it was a really short meeting, because a lot of the homelessness and housing staff were really involved with the Fort McMurray situation. So, but one thing that did come out of it is that we were talking about ways to access more provincial funds engaging our housing authority, which is, right now is Brazeau Seniors Foundation, in locating other revenue streams. So that might be something that will come up down the road. I attended Eagle Point Blue Rapids Provincial Parks Council, AGM, and I had mentioned to this council that they are looking to move forward with an outdoor education center in conjunction with Rotary Club, and it it looks like it's going to be not just a place where they can, host greater events or bigger events, but also a place where some of our, they're looking to partner with the high schools and whatnot that do outdoor education. This would be a place where they can actually do practical experience. So, you're learning information in the classroom, but then you're also getting that practical experience out on the Nordic Ski Trail in that area with the trees and all that kind of stuff. So that is one of their big pushes there. A lot of the discussion at the meeting was surrounding. This is one committee where I actually enjoy being on town council because it seems to be it's Brazeau County Council that's under fire a lot with this committee because that is where the park is located. So there was a lot of discussion of where the roadblocks have been with other projects moving forward, day use camping areas, etc. I'm continuing to work with Eagle Point, Blue Rapids in terms of just throwing out ideas with regards to private campgrounds, how we can further develop the area as well as the tourism in the area. So that's a fun group. Yes, we had a waste management committee meeting, and so essentially on that, we had asked administration about a month or so ago to bring forward pulling from the sustainability plan, our social development plan, our current contracts that we have, pulling forward all that information so that we as a committee would be able to come up with some recommendations that we bring forward to council moving forward of how we want to address our waste management and our waste diversion in our community. So out of this, we had agreed as a committee that the extension of our landfill lifespan is of the utmost highest priority. Right now, based on some of the information that our administration has given us, our landfill has a lifespan of about 20 years. So really what we're looking at is how can we extend that, and through that then stepping back of how can we look at our contracts with our waste diversion and waste management contractors, how can we look at our community practices in terms of diverting waste and reusing things so that we can extend that lifespan. So, and when we're looking at cost of this, we're looking at that the immediate cost as well as the holistic cost. So if this is going to save us money in the long run with an upfront investment, we're looking at all avenues of that. So council can look forward to having that information come forward to them. I have to say it was nice having Councillor Schuler attend that meeting because he did give some historical perspective as to why things are the way they are or how contracts have come to be. So that was also refreshing, is getting some of that information. I attended, so as part of the Brazeau Seniors Foundation board, we are doing meet and greets at some of the locations, or at all of the locations actually of where the seniors housing is. So our first stop off was last Friday at Spruce View Court in Breton. And the meet and greets are very informal conversations, talking to seniors about the housing, ideas, what's life like, that kind of stuff. What I really found, this just blew my mind, is in the seniors' homes. Like, I've seen it, but in this particular Spruce View Court is actually it's an apartment. You have your own apartment, your own kitchen, you're cooking your own stuff. In this location, there is individuals from the ages of 65, 70, all the way up to 95. And so just looking at the needs of seniors at 60 compared to the needs of seniors at 90 is completely different. We also talked a lot about the upcoming seniors, so that the generation that's going to be up and coming, how can we look at, we're not just providing housing, but we're looking at a holistic aging in place, but aging process too, so that we find that in seniors' housings anyways, the females tend to gather and talk and do their whatever they do, coffee, arts and crafts, or whatever, gardening. But what do the men do? So we're talking about things like the man caves, or having a place where men can actually talk and congregate too, so that they're not just isolating. So anyways, this was our first stop. We're going around to the others, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think my RSP is going to be big enough. Like, if we're living to 100, that's just crazy. But it was it was a good experience. Thank you.
An uplifting thought.
Oh my God.
Well, literally, I'm past the halfway point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yep. Yeah. We can't get through this fast enough. Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor. On June 2nd, I attended the Communities in Bloom meeting. We went over several initiatives, one of which is just reported, Danette had reported on the Tulip Garden Bloom celebration that happened in our south entrance on the other side of the derricks. And in that initiative, we had approximately 10 local gardeners attend the event, and the second flower bed, in addition to the tulips that were donated by from Holland, the Dutch, in terms of honoring the relationship between Canada. The second flower bed has been planted with donated perennials and wildflower seeds, which is a nice local initiative. And I'm not sure if the signage is placed yet. I haven't been out there, but the sign has been done. So we're looking at just having the signage go out there about the relationship with the Dutch. Also, we're preparing for National Judging Day, which is, again, on July 27th. That is a GMP day, so council will be in GMP and come out to the CETC for the lunch, and as well as just a really quick meet and greet prior to your meeting on that day. I will be accompanying the judges that day. There's also an initiative going on. It's called Yards in Bloom Contest, and I just wanted to talk about that briefly. It's nominate your neighbor or yourself to compete in this event, and it's for residential and commercial. And we want to recognize and celebrate the efforts that they do in beautifying our community. There are 3 categories that are going to be judged. There's a vegetable garden, yard beautification, or sustainable garden. So if you know anybody within the community that has that or wants to pursue that, if you're curious what sustainable garden is, a lot of it's xeriscaping. Low maintenance, those kinds of things. That's an idea. Again, vegetable gardening, pretty self-explanatory, whether that's boxes or you have a garden in the back. And so in case you have any questions, so their local home hardware has donated a $100 gift card for each category. So that's a big prize. The Communities in Bloom group will be going out and judging on the 27th, and then we will be touring the judges when they come into the community on the 26th for the winners. So that's a nice little initiative that we're doing this summer. So again, encourage everybody to they can nominate themselves, absolutely, if they're proud of their yard, and moving forward. The event again on the 27th, that evening event, we are not putting one on as Communities in Bloom. However, Brazeau Seniors Foundation is putting on a barbecue in celebration for what they're doing for beautification in their complex, and that is a community barbecue. So that'll be open, and there will be vegetarian options that day as well. It helps when you have a vegetarian helping to do the barbecue. So there will be vegetarian options. So that'll start at 6 o'clock at Brazeau Seniors at Shangri-La Lodge that day. And so I expect council, if you'd like to attend, obviously, free food and a nice community event. There also is another initiative that we're looking at for next year. We talked a little bit about the bike racks and so on. But it is an event, sorry, I'm just scrolling down. We will be sharing the itinerary as well for that day. There is an action item, it's called Canada 150 Celebrations. So there's an initiative out there that has a diagram of a maple leaf, and then there's different colors that would be placed or planted within those blocks that make up the maple leaf, and Communities in Bloom would like to see that happen within the community, and one of our local members has agreed to build it. So we're just looking for a site to place it, and it is cohesive maple leaf design that'll be in other communities across Canada celebrating 150 years next year. It also coincides with our 60th, which is a nice initiative as well, and one of the options was looking at placing it possibly here or across the street, as it makes sense to have it within our civic center area or downtown core. So Nancy Dodds has agreed that she will build it, which is great, and It's quite large. It'll be, I don't have the exact measurements, but it is quite large. So it would probably be like the area within here. So she'll look at building it and then just looking at partnering with the town in terms of, and we can plant it, but just the ongoing maintenance of it and watering and so on. So low key for the town in terms of operations. It'd just be part of the general operations for watering. But just looking for feedback and community feedback. Some feedback has been for down at the museum site as well. So that's another option. But just some conversation around that. So that's Communities in Bloom. I did attend the GMP as usual. I did have a bit of a break going to Scotland for my birthday. So I'm back, and thank you for all the tips. When I came back, we did have the Child Care Operational Board meeting, which happened on June 21st. MLA Mark Smith attended for a portion as a delegate, as he'd been invited to talk about really what our center is, and being a center of excellence, being that is a municipal model, which is only one of 3 in Alberta currently. Used to be more, but now we're down to 3. Also, in moving forward, we talked about how our funding is and maybe lack of some partnerships on that model. Also talked about subsidies and how the province can help in that regard. So that was a little kind of brief synopsis. He hasn't ever been in to see ECDC, so the option was to, or the invitation was made that he can really get a better understanding, as he didn't seem to have a lot of knowledge in terms of the center itself and what we are, how we are center of excellence, how we oversee day homes. That there wasn't a lot of that. So moving forward in terms of education with our local MLA on that and how we can work together on advocacy. Also talked, there is the board renewal coming up, and 2 of our members are coming up for renewal in October and looking for new board members. So that'll be out, I assume, in terms of our website and doing that moving forward. Economic Development Committee, we worked on the 21st as well, working on the work plan for the remaining of 2016 and into 2017, and what are the priorities for the committee and for our Economic Development Officer. And the strategy and community profile is slated to come to council on August 3rd for approval. So we wanted to have the brand in place prior to the implementation of the strategy and community profile. So that is my report.
All right, thank you. Councillor Long.
Thank you. Fairly busy couple of weeks, but I'll try and be brief. On the 9th, I attended the Legacy Project Committee in Nicole's place. And as you guys know from last week's GNP, we have the proposal going forwards to start copying the newspaper, which was part 1 of the 2-part project, so glad to see that happening. On the 11th, I went to Rocky Mountain House to take part in the parade, and there's no way to feel better about yourself than giving candy to children, especially somebody else's candy. So I'm looking forward to Canada Day now too. It was a nice day, and nice to get a chance to talk to a couple of folks from other municipalities down there. On the 13th, Yellowhead Regional Library, and again, as I said at GNP last week, the main point of interest there is that very early budget direction is to hold the requisitions from municipalities at the $4.30 per capita, which it has been apparently since 2009. So that's a positive GNP last week. And as Councillor Schuler and Bossert have already mentioned, I attended the Synergy Group's meeting with the MLA and the Leader of the Opposition. As they say, interesting to hear what folks have to say when they're not talking directly to us. So that, I think, was worthwhile from there, although bit of a limited group because there was an awful lot of representatives of government and fewer actually from the industry, but worthwhile and eye-opening to some extent. Councillor Schuler has already mentioned the CETC meeting. The 20th, I had a Community Foundation meeting. A couple of things on the go there, but the main thrust at the moment, of course, is the upcoming DV100 bike race, which is in September. Big fundraiser. So if anybody out there is interested in getting their bikes out, having a little fun. You don't have to go the full 100. It's a fun day out, and if the weather's as good as last year, you'll enjoy it. And then finally, Economic Development Committee yesterday, as Nicole's already mentioned. So I'll leave it there.
Very good, thank you. For my part, I'll just run through a few things. The 2nd to the 5th of June, of course, I attended with Councillor Bossert the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference in Winnipeg. If I had to say, there was a consistent theme in the discussion rooms that I attended. It would be discussion around municipal infrastructure and funding and the federal government's role in that. On the 7th, of course, I was honored to attend the seniors' tea and coincidentally see the brand new mural that was put up at the Legion. What? On the 10th, I was honored to speak to the Frank Maddock High School graduation. The 13th, attended, as many have mentioned, one of the Municipal Government Act information sessions. I had the opportunity to briefly speak with both the Deputy Minister and Minister of Municipal Affairs to express some thoughts surrounding the changes. No action yet on those thoughts, but keep hope alive. On the 16th of June, the AUMA Mayor's Caucus, of course the Summer Mayor's Caucus, or they bill it as the Summer Mayor's Caucus in Olds this year, where the entire day was spent on parsing the details of the MGA changes. The consensus for all those who I spoke with is that larger cities were reasonably well served, as were rural municipalities. The 17th, although I was unable to attend the men's breakfast sponsored by the ECDC, I want to commend the ECDC for hosting and organizing that event. Very worthwhile initiative. And yesterday, I was pleased to speak at National Aboriginal Day, and just astounded at the participation. Of course, a nice summer day, the schools bring all their students, but there were hundreds and hundreds. So it was impressive turnout and very good event. So with that, let's see, I think we have item 9.0 information items. The EPAC minutes for February, March, and April 2016, the Brazeau Seniors Foundation minutes for April 2016, the Yellowhead Regional Library Board minutes for March 2016, the Drayton Valley Brazeau County Fire Services May 2016 stats, and the RCMP statistics for May 2016. Could I get a motion to receive those information? Councillor Bossert, all in favor? That's carried. Get a motion to adjourn. Councillor Schuler, all in favor? We're adjourned.